Since I started my YouTube channel about 2 months ago now, I've had a few comments about the quality of my YouTube videos. Yeah, you get what I mean. But what's interesting is I like to do what I'm calling minimalist YouTubing. That's where you have what you need to get a certain level of quality without going really extravagant on tech or cameras or microphones. Don't get me wrong though, I love my tech. I love cameras, microphones, film equipment. If I could, I would spend tens of thousands of dollars on video equipment. But the problem is that that's not always feasible. And when you want to become a YouTuber, you want to get that level of quality but not pay that much money to get that level of quality, and something that makes it accessible for everyone. Now, I had a question on my channel about what equipment I use, and this is where things get interesting. I don't use that much equipment. In my very first video, I didn't even have a separate microphone. I was using the microphone on my camera wearing a balaclava right up close to the camera to get the best quality audio. And that's all that I needed to get acceptable audio. I mean, it wasn't perfect. And if you compare it to like an MKBHD video, you can see where a quality microphone really comes in. But the difference is how much I've invested in my microphone and the quality I come out. So now I'm rocking a Blue Spark. It cost a few $100s more, but the quality I got from it for the cost of the actual product itself, it brings the videos up another notch and it makes it a lot more viewable. The tripod I have, this tripod was found on the street by a mate of mine who was like, oh yeah, I think Tim may like this. It's got cracks in it, it can't pan properly without like cracking, but it's free. And it does what I need it to do to get a video shot out there. I mean, I can still do pans on it. I mean, all not that gracefully though, and not that smooth, but you learn little tricks and do it in slow motion and it seems smoother. And when you do it in slow motion and whatnot, it still effectively tells the story. Whoa. So here's something else about my YouTubing. I don't use any lights whatsoever because they're really expensive. I use natural light. The problem with this is when you're doing a recording, it blows out and you've got to fix it by bringing things down a notch. And it works okay, but it breaks the flow up just a little bit. Which I guess brings me onto my third piece of equipment that I use. The camera, this thing. The thing that you're currently looking at me through. The camera is the GH4, so it does pretty good quality recording in 4K, but what I did, and there's going to be so many comments from photographers now saying, you did what? You bought a cheap lens and an expensive body? That's what you don't do, but that's what I did. The lens on this is like $150 New Zealand. The lens is a 3.5 to 5.6 aperture, 14 to 42mm lens. It's probably the most useful focal range for what I do. I can still reach out and touch it from where I'm sitting right here. So it means as a one-handed YouTuber, I can do what I need to do. So it's functional. It's not the best quality, but you're never gonna notice it on YouTube. You don't need a lot. The most expensive thing I have is the camera itself. The lens isn't expensive, and even the GH4, it's reasonably well priced for what you get. If you're in the States, it's only like $1,000. Hope that you guys found this useful and that it might help give you an idea of how I do my videos. And if you're an upcoming YouTuber as well, you don't need a fully fledged GH4 to do this. You don't need a $2,000 lens. Admittedly, they help, but you don't need them. These are all things that help make it look good, but they don't necessarily aid in telling the story. So to wrap things up, I just want to leave you guys with one thing to remember. If you didn't get anything out of this video, it's this. When you're starting out on a YouTube channel, don't focus on you've got to have this camera, you've got to have this microphone, you've got to have this tripod, you've got to have this mega computer that can run things at 4K. Although those things would be nice, what you want to focus on is the story. And if there's one person to follow on this, it would be Casey Neistat. You look at his very first videos, he shot them on some little handheld camera. I mean, they're probably what? You can buy them secondhand, $100. You don't need a lot to capture what you're seeing with your own eyes. He is there to make a story. Everything he uses in his arsenal of equipment is there to help tell that story. And that's the way I think equipment should be. It should be there to help tell a story. I would be the first one online though if a new piece of tech came out and I could afford it. But if it doesn't help tell the story, you don't need it for your YouTube channel. It's the story that really, really counts.